Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are mapping out what might just be the most carefully planned vacation ever.
It definitely requires some planning.
We're doing a deep dive into a proposed 3-day cannabis-friendly itinerary for San Francisco. And we're being very specific here. This is strictly for adult use, so 21 and up.
Right.
Our mission is to pull out the best activities, the really crucial logistical constraints, and maybe some surprising things hidden in the travel materials you shared.
It's not just a checklist.
No, not at all.
Right.
We're trying to analyze the whole strategy behind responsible cannabis tourism in the Bay Area. And to really get a feel for the landscape, we have to start with this one staggering contrast in the industry listings.
It really tells you everything you need to know before you even book a flight.
Okay, let's unpack this. The travel directory. It shows this huge imbalance. You've got over 630 listed recreational dispensaries in the area.
So volume. A ton of places to shop.
A ton. But then you look for licensed places to, actually consume. The number just plummets. We're talking maybe 20 cannabis lounges.
20. Down from over 600.
And get this, just one single cannabis cooking class listed. One.
And that ratio, that's fascinating. That huge volume of places to buy versus the tiny, tiny number of places to legally use.
It defines the entire trip.
It absolutely defines the challenge of this trip for you. It tells us we are navigating cannabis tourism California style, which means it has to be adult use, safe, fun, and, extremely mindful of all the local laws.
Right, especially about public consumption.
Exactly. This is a journey of, let's call it, retail abundance and consumption scarcity.
So before we get to the fun stuff, the sites and all that, we have to talk logistics because it sounds like they dictate everything.
They really do. And the most critical point, which is kind of non-intuitive for a city like San Francisco, is lodging.
I was so surprised by this in the materials. Tell us what the source highlights about, where you can actually stay.
Well, this is the kicker. According to the research, there are currently zero. No fully vetted, specifically cannabis-friendly lodging recommendations inside San Francisco city limits.
Wait a minute, that's a massive constraint. It means this whole itinerary is built on one core idea.
Discretion.
Total discretion.
Exactly. The recommended strategy just shifts completely. You book whatever hotel or rental you prefer.
Yeah.
And then you have to operate like a ghost.
What does that mean in practice?
It means you are strictly respecting all the property rules. You're probably using disposable vapes, which have less odor, or you're finding, a very private, designated outdoor area. The guide even mentions, like, a hotel parking lot, if it's allowed.
So this is not a light up a joint on the balcony kind of trip.
Not even close. The guide is crystal clear on that. That's a huge no.
And that ties right into transportation and just general compliance.
Yeah.
The guide says, and it makes sense, once you consume anything, you avoid driving. Period.
No driving at all. You're relying completely on rideshare or, public transit.
But there's another operational detail here we can't skip, and it feels so analog. Currency.
Yes. It's ironic, right? You're in the heart of Silicon Valley, the epicenter of tech, but a lot of these dispensaries still want cash.
Or they'll hit you with higher fees for using a card.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's not random. It's a direct result of the federal banking restrictions on cannabis businesses. Because it's still federally illegal, a lot of banks and credit card companies just won't touch the money.
Which forces these high-tech shops to operate like a cash-only bodega.
Pretty much. So you have to show up prepared. Bring cash.
That context is so important. So we're balancing this intense logistical control, discrete lodging, cash, no driving, with actually wanting to see San Francisco.
And that's the art of the trip. The sources lay out a plan that cleverly pairs those necessary discrete cannabis stops with the iconic city sightseeing. We're talking the Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz, cable cars.
The stuff you'd want to see anyway.
Precisely. The whole point is to have a comprehensive trip, not just, hopping between those 630 retail spots.
Okay, so with those very important ground rules set, let's walk through day one. The guide says we're diving straight into the Mission District.
Right, straight from the airport.
So, day one, you arrive, you check into your, let's call it 21-plus set of friendly but discreet accommodation.
Huh.
And you head immediately to the Mission for that local vibe. First stop, brunch. The guide recommends El Farolito.
The classic. For a quintessential Mission-style burrito, that's your fuel.
I like it. So after you're fueled up, then it's time for the first dispensary visit.
And the strategy here is to go to the Green Cross on Mission Street.
Why that one specifically?
Well, It's cited as being a long-standing, really community-focused place with a knowledgeable staff. This is where you want to go first to sort of stock up,
And the advice here is key. Talk to the staff, ask questions.
especially about dosage and potency with things like edibles. Because, with the lack of public consumption spaces, you really need a controlled experience. You can't just experiment.
That makes perfect sense. So you buy your products from a trusted place, and then you move on to the cultural side of things while you plan your consumption.
Exactly. The afternoon is all about culture. You're walking the Mission, you're absorbing that phenomenal street art, the murals. The guide specifically calls out Balmy Alley.
Okay, for its powerful, historic displays. But then you have to address the elephant in the room.
Where do you actually go to consume what you just bought?
And this is where that list of only 20 lounges becomes critical. For day one, the recommendation is Mo Greens.
Right. And what stands out about Mo Greens in the guide is its functionality. It's described as a cafe-style lounge.
So you can just sit down and enjoy the products you bought on site.
And that solves the immediate logistical headache. It gives you a safe, legal space. It minimizes your risk and respects all those constraints we just talked about.
Okay, so that wraps up the afternoon. What about the evening for day one?
The evening plan kind of switches gears. Dinner is recommended at Tattich Grill, which is in the financial district.
Oh, that's an old one. Classic seafood. Very historic.
It might feel a little bit like a tourist choice, but it seems to be woven in deliberately. It's part of experiencing that classic, old-school San Francisco.
It is pricey, though. But I guess the idea is a diverse experience. You go from a Mission burrito and street art to, a white tablecloth dinner.
And after dinner, the guide really emphasizes a mellow evening.
Let me guess. No driving.
No driving, and definitely no smoking in public. The suggestions are either heading to Dolores Park for a sunset view, or maybe walking toward the Castro for some low-key nightlife.
So the theme for day one is responsible, structured fun.
Exactly.
All right, day two, we're shifting neighborhoods.
Yeah, day two moves us downtown to Soma South of Market and the Civic Center area. And we start with the second strategic retail stop,
Which is?
Arbor Coast Collective, also on Mission Street. This place is described as a really lavish, lounge-style dispensary. So even the retail environment itself is kind of a destination.
And then for midday, it's just pure tourist mode.
Pure iconic SF. You're using public transit, respecting the rules. You ride a cable car. You visit the Ferry Building Marketplace.
Oh, the ferry building is great. Amazing food stalls, those bay views.
And of course, you have to get that essential postcard photo at the Golden Gate Bridge.
Now, how do you make that sightseeing cannabis-friendly? The guide suggests consuming before you leave the hotel, or again, using a very discreet vape or edible.
Right. And for activities, it highlights things like renting a bike to cross the Golden Gate Bridge or just exploring the huge grounds of Golden Gate Park. Things you can do where you can kind of manage your own experience without breaking any laws.
Okay, and for dinner on day two?
The guide suggests moving away from the classics. It recommends State Bird Provisions in the Fillmore.
Oh, I've heard of that place. It's known for its inventive sort of dim sum style service.
Exactly. It's a very modern, fun dining experience. And afterwards, the strategy is about maximizing the views. So Twin Peaks is the recommendation for these incredible 360-degree sunset views of the city.
Okay, so that brings us to day three. And this is where it gets really interesting for me. This is where we have to confront that tension we talked about at the very beginning.
We're talking about Haight-Ashbury.
The historic hub.
Yeah.
The 1960s counterculture, the summer of love.
Yeah, this is a neighborhood that just resonates with cannabis history and, the whole pursuit of freedom. You're encouraged to just walk the streets, check out the vintage stores, soak up that whole psychedelic vibe.
And this is the great contradiction of this whole trip, isn't it?
How so?
You're visiting Haight-Ashbury, the epicenter of this radical open freedom where public consumption was basically an act of rebellion.
Mm.
And then you have to go back to your discreet little vape pen in the hotel parking lot. I mean, the tension between the history and the modern retail restrictions is just, it's so palpable right there.
It absolutely is. The modern retail environment requires a kind of restraint that just directly clashes with the neighborhood's entire legacy.
So to balance that out, where does the itinerary send you next?
It pushes you toward nature before you have to depart. It suggests heading back to Golden Gate Park for a final nature break.
Maybe the Japanese tea garden or the Conservatory of Flowers.
Or even a final scenic hike in the Presidio of San Francisco. Just a moment to chill out.
And for one last indulgence, the materials say check again on a consumption lounge, reminding you that these spaces are still evolving, so you should always ask ahead.
Right. And the trip concludes with a memorable send-off dinner at the Progress, which is right near State Bird Provisions. Great modern rustic food before you head out.
So if we put all of these smart tips together for the listener, what's the big takeaway?
I mean, this trip is really a masterclass in strategic travel. You have to make reservations for those popular restaurants. But more importantly, the whole trip is about a responsible balance.
It's about blending those discrete retail stops with the classic San Francisco experiences.
Yeah, Alcatraz, the cable cars, those iconic neighborhoods.
Yeah.
It's a unique synthesis, you know? You get the historic counterculture, the sophisticated modern retail, and these beautiful cityscapes. The itinerary is a great roadmap for fun, mindful, adult-use travel that minimizes legal risk while maximizing the cultural experience.
So what does this all mean? We just analyzed this travel strategy that had to be so structured.
Right.
Cash only, no public consumption, super discreet lodging. And all of this is happening in a city that practically defined itself by radical freedom and counterculture.
It's a paradox.
It's a huge paradox. And
Go on.
given that Haight-Ashbury is a core part of this trip, but absolute discretion is the #1 rule, it raises this important question for you to think about.
Yeah.
If the logistics of consuming a completely legal product are this restrictive in San Francisco of all places, what does the future of truly public, open cannabis consumption even look like?
Will the retail spaces and the public policy ever truly catch up to the city's, historic chill vibe?
That's the question. Something for you to mull over. And that's it for this deep dive. We covered where to stay, what to see, and how to indulge responsibly, all pulled directly from your materials. Until next time, happy exploring.